and it's now in public. Please remember that. Now I have Mr. Nur Mohammed's hand, and then Mr. Curek's, and then I don't know, Mr. Giovanni, was your hand up, or were you just pointing to somebody? Oh, okay.
Just a point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Curek.
Now, I believe, if I'm recalling, and of course we've all just come back from the summer recess, but one still has the floor when moving from a meeting with a dilatory motion. It's my recollection of the rules, but I'd certainly look to the clerk to clarify that.
I don't think so, but go ahead. Bottom line is your motion, you had the floor, your motion was passed, so you're no longer discussing your motion. So I think the floor is open. Mr. Nur Mohammed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move the following motion. It's a motion of which I had given notice on May 7th, 2024, and it reads as follows. Pursuant to Standing Order 108, Sub 2, the committee undertake a study of no less than...
So, excuse me, I have a point of order.
Just to challenge the decision to cede the floor.
All right. The chair is being challenged. I shall call a vote on those who agree with the challenge or those who agree with the chair. Now, clerk, go ahead.
Just to clarify, Madam Chair, it is yes to if I vote no, it is to challenge. I mean, just make sure we're voting the correct way.
If you vote with Mr. Curek, who is challenging the chair, then you are agreeing with him. If you vote against Mr. Curek, you are supporting the chair's decision. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
The question is, shall the decision of the chair be sustained? Mr.
Sorry. So shall the decision of the chair be sustained? That's a yes in support of the chair.
Yes, obviously, obviously, yeah.
You vote yes if you agree to sustain the chair's decision. You vote no if you wish to overturn it.
Okay. So yes, I wish to sustain the decision of the chair, just so we're clear.
Okay.
We're all on the same page. Perfect. Mr. Nur Mohammed.
Yes.
Mr. Koto.
Yes.
Ms. Dillon. Yes. Ms. Gainey. Madam Natanzio. Yes. Mr. Waugh.
No.
Mr. Curek.
No.
Mr. Gould.
No.
Mr. Giovanni.
No.
Mr. Beaulieu.
No.
Ms. Ashton.
No.
That's 5 yeas, 6 nays.
Then the chair's decision to not allow Mr. Curek the floor and open up the meeting is not sustained. So we go ahead. Mr. Curek, you have the floor.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Curek sought to challenge the chair.
Yes.
That has happened. Under what standing order was that challenge made, and under what standing order specifically did Mr. Curek seek to reference that, in fact, your ruling was inaccurate?
He used and he said the bottom line is the chair ruled and he disagreed. And he challenged the chair. Straightforward. Mr. Koto?
Can we get an update on exactly where we were the last meeting when he had the floor? What was the discussion? I know it's many months ago.
No. He had the floor when he decided the motion he put forward was to go in public. And he won that motion. We're now in public. And he suggested that he still had the floor. And I suggested, unless he had a new motion, his old motion had been voted on and carried, so it was open to anyone else putting their hand up. That was my decision. Now, obviously, most of the committee disagreed with me and agreed Mr. Curek, so Mr. Curek now has the floor.
So by moving a motion and having it voted on allows you to keep your spot after the motion's been dealt with?
No, it does not allow you to keep your spot.
But that's what he's suggesting?
Well, I don't know. We got to vote, Mr. Koto, and I have to bow to the will of the committee. That's what I'm here to do.
So just to be clear, Chair, it suggested that because he called for a motion to go into public, he had the floor at that point, even though the motion was voted on?
Well, that's what Mr. Couric is suggesting, and I am disagreeing with him on this.
So-
And yet the committee agreed with him and not with the chair's ruling on this. So there we go. The decision has been made, the vote has been taken. Mr. Couric, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I will endeavor to be very quick, but with revelations that the CBC awarded $18.4 million in bonuses last year, but still cut hundreds of jobs across that organization, and to learn in the last number of months that $3.3 million went to just 45 executives is an astounding admission, which, just to put that in perspective, that would be $73,000 in bonuses alone for each with just the executives. That would have been $73,000 in bonuses alone each. So, Madam Chair, I would hope that I find support and that we can dispose of this quickly. This egregious abuse of tax dollars, and to get answers, and specifically when it comes to the CEO of CBC, Ms. Catherine Tait, and in how in her previous testimony before this committee had made overtures and commitments that certainly she had no intention of following through on. So, Madam Chair, as I mentioned, I hope this can be disposed of quickly, and would have support from all parties to get to the bottom of this. So I would move, therefore, given that the CBC paid out $18.4 million in bonuses last year, including $3.3 million to top executives after eliminating hundreds of jobs, that the committee immediately call the president and CEO of the CBC, Ms. Catherine Tait, to testify for no less than 3 hours within 14 calendar days of the adoption of this motion, and the Minister of Canadian Heritage, Pascal Saint-Onge, to testify for no less than 3 hours each within 14 days of the adoption of this motion, and that these two witnesses appear separately.
Thank you. You have the motion. You heard it. Mr. Wall.
Sorry,
and
this
then-
year is what
I
I
know
said.
you. I recognize you made that little slip, and I let it go. So, Mr. Wall, and then Mr. Beaulieu.
I'll be very quick. I certainly agree with this motion. I think we've had Ms. Tait here several times now to the Heritage Committee trying to explain bonuses or performance bonuses, whatever she calls it. I think when this news broke in late June, early July, Canadians were outcast. They were surprised that $18.4 million in bonuses last year to this year. We still don't know her bonus situation, Chair. She didn't receive the bonus, we understand, from, I believe, 2022. She did not say in committee when she did come that she received her bonus. And now we know that Ms. Tait is leaving the CBC. Her intention is to retire this coming January. So I think it's very important that the committee hear from Ms. Tait and the direction that the CBC is going, and the $18.4 million in bonuses that were handed out. The Canadian Taxpayers Association, whoever it was that exposed this late June, while she was here, I do give her credit. She said it was with the board, but it was the Privy Council or the minister that has approved this, and I too would like to hear from Ms. Tait at the Heritage Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Monsieur Beaulieu.
I would like to introduce an amendment just to change the part that deals with the minister, because Ms. Tait coming before the committee and spending 3 hours, yes, that's relevant, but we would consider that the minister's presence would be less relevant.
So please read your amendment. You want to remove the last piece, the Minister of Canadian Heritage?
À partir de et.
So the part where it says, and the Minister of Canadian Heritage, Pascal Saint-Onge, to testify for no less than 3 hours each within 14 days, calendar days of the adoption of this motion, and that these two witnesses appear separately. This part we're getting rid of.
Amendment on the floor. We're going to deal with the amendment. Yes, regarding the amendment, Mr. Nur Mohammed, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The substance of the motion in respect of calling Ms. Tate, I think, is important. I think it's important for us to have this thoughtful discussion and debate. And I think it's important for us to be able to ask questions of her, given that this has been a topic of a lot of conversation in this committee. I would agree with Monsieur Beaulieu's point of view on this, that given the importance of separating the role of the minister in all of this, I think the importance really is to have Madame Tate here, to have that conversation and to not muddy the waters with anything else. So we would be very much in support of Mr. Beaulieu's amendment. And on the back, if that amendment does pass, we would be supportive of the motion.
Thank you. Anyone, any further discussion on the amendment? Mr. Waugh, Kevin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I will support the amendment, but at the same time, I want people around the table to realize that it was the Privy Council / the Minister of Canadian Heritage that did sign off on the bonuses. I want everyone to realize that it did go to Privy Council / the Minister of Canadian Heritage who signed off on this. So that's all I'm going to make this statement as right now.
But you're supporting the amendment.
I'll support the amendment, but I also want everyone around the table to realize who signed off on it.
Thank you, Mr. Waugh. Ms. Ashton.
Yeah, we will support the amendment, although I will say that that clearly there are questions for the Minister of Heritage that I hope we might get to at another time. Having said that, I think the broader motion is critical. We know that Ms. Tate and the CBC board cannot continue the way they have. Canadians, I think, are not just disappointed but angered by the fact that an 18.4 million in bonuses was given out to CBC executives, 3.3 million to top executives, while threatening job cuts and the loss of local journalism, including regions like mine that has no CBC presence. This is wrong, but for some reason, Ms. Tate thinks that everything's okay. She doesn't seem to understand that her actions threaten the legitimacy of the CBC, an institution that we should all be proud of. While CBC employees struggle with job insecurity, with lower wages than they deserve, with a culture of fear and reprisal when they speak out, a small group of CBC executives have been allowed to get rich off the backs of Canadians. We believe that this is not okay. But I also want to indicate that Liberal mismanagement is at play here. We know that the threat to cut funding to the CBC was also an instigator in terms of or put into motion a number of things that were deeply problematic. We also know that deep cuts made under the time of Stephen Harper has put the CBC back in irreparable ways in some cases. But I would say the Liberals may pat themselves on the back for being not conservative, but imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. I wish we could hear from all government representatives that do have a hand in how the CBC is funding and have had a hand in approving these bonuses. Having said that, I think it is critical to move forward with hearing from Ms. Tate, who did not answer this question as it should have been answered when she was here. And it's very clear to me that Canadians deserve answers from the CBC, from the head of the CBC, right away. And I believe that we as the Heritage Committee need to make sure that that happens as soon as possible.
Ms. Ashton, Mr. Coteau.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I would agree with the amendment. I think it's important to have this CBC senior executive officer, the CEO and president, join us. The conversation we had with Ms. Tate a few months ago, there were some very specific questions about the willingness to change the bonus structure at CBC, and it seemed like there was a willingness to explore that. I would like to know personally if that has been a discussion item within their executive and within their board. Also, I remember saying when she was here that the way in which Canadians perceive this, it's not aligned with where Canadians are. So I think it would be a great idea to bring to request that she join this committee to answer some further questions. And I do believe that the amendment is a good amendment, so we can focus on CBC, specifically on the president and CEO's position on these issues.
Thank you. Mr. Nur Mohammed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. In all of these discussions, and I want to touch on something that Ms. Ashton said, in all of these discussions, one of the things that Canadians have said loud and clear is that they support a strong public broadcaster, that they believe fundamentally in the idea of a public broadcaster that is supported and that does a good job of telling the stories of Canada, of Canadians. And for those rural communities, for those Indigenous communities, for so many who have no other access, the CBC is a critical and essential part of what this country is, an institution of this country. And, a lot of research and a lot of polling gets done. And, Angus Reid did a study, and they said something that's very, very interesting. They said that defunding the CBC is considered to be, quote unquote, bad by the vast majority of Canadians. If we want to have a thoughtful discussion in this committee, and I think we should, about the CBC, about building a strong CBC, about ensuring that there is a strong public broadcaster, then we do need to ask difficult questions of the executive. We do need to ask difficult questions so that CBC Radio-Canada is not just present in this country, but it is a strong, vibrant force for telling the story of Canada in a world where corporate interests get to decide what we hear and what we don't. Having a non-profit public broadcaster in this country is a critical part of who we are in this country, whether it's telling the stories of rural Quebec, whether it's making sure that we have strong Francophone content at Radio-Canada, whether it's making sure that Francophone communities in my riding of Vancouver-Granville, qu'on a besoin du contenu français, il faut avoir cet accès, ça c'est très...
And it's very important.
...of the North is the role that the CBC needs to be playing. And so I think our opportunity here in this committee, Madam Chair, is to have these conversations with the executive and to get beyond the idea of let's do everything we can to tear the institution down. And, we hear a lot about defunding the CBC and how it is, as the leader of the opposition called it, $1 billion propaganda arm. And really, let's get into the substance of what I think many of us really care about, which is having a strong institution that Canadians can look to, that they can rely upon, and that, quite frankly, is a reflection of who we are as a country. So I really hope that the work that we do in these discussions with Ms. Tate, they can be tough. We should be having tough conversations. But I think we should be looking at how do we improve institutions, how do we build institutions in this country. And I think we're all, hopefully, well, many of us, I think, are committed to that work. And I would challenge all of us, regardless of our political stripe, to make sure that the conversations that we do have on this topic get us to a good place in the interests of all Canadians, regardless of where in this country they live.
Seeing no other hands up to speak to the amendment, we're going to vote on the amendment. Mr. Kurek, on the amendment? No, okay, we're voting on Mr. Beaulieu's amendment. Please, clerk, go ahead.
And the vote is on the amendment of Mr. Beaulieu. Mr. Nur Mohammed.
Oui.
Mr. Coteau.
Yes.
Ms. Dillon. Oui. Ms. Gainey. Oui. Ms. Latanzio. Yes. Mr. Waugh.
Yes.
Mr. Kurek.
Yes.
Mr. Gould.
Oui.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yep.
Mr. Beaulieu.
Oui.
Ms. Ashton.
Yes.
So the amendment passes, and now we're going to move to voting on the motion as amended, and I will read the motion as amended.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Now that the amendment has passed, should we not see if there's debate on the main motion?
Yeah.
Well,
As amended? Because I think
we could, if you wish to.
I think
but
Madame Latanzio.
I think we had already, I think everybody seemed to be in agreement, but there you go. Go ahead and debate this if you would like to. The actual motion, but I will read it The motion as amended on the floor is that the CBC paid out $18.4 million in bonuses this year, including $3.3 million to top executives, after eliminating hundreds of jobs. The committee immediately called the president and CEO of the CBC, Ms. Catherine Tate, to testify for no less than 3 hours each within 14 calendar days of the adoption of this motion. This is what is on the floor now. Now, there's somebody's hand up. Yes, Mr. Tanzio?
Chair. We're suggesting to testify for no less than 3 hours each, and I was just wondering from my colleague, is he suggesting that we do this in 2 sessions, 1 session, 1 extended session? How are we going to do this in 3 hours?
This may have to be whether we have resources to go 3 hours or not, but it's a question. Perhaps Mr. Kurak would answer.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to the member. In other committees where I've been and where this has been the case, I know the clerk and the folks that make these meetings happen. 3-hour meetings are not uncommon. I know I'm on Canada-China. We meet for 3 hours on a regular basis, and I have no doubt that the administration folks here that do the good work that they do could get that sorted out.
So you're wishing for 3 straight hours, all right? And so, of course, the clerk will inquire about whether we have resources to do that, because we need to have resources, interpreters, a room, et cetera, So the clerk is instructed to find that out. Does that answer your question, Ms. Latanzio?
Yes, it does. Can we, when it says to testify for no less than 3 hours, could it be a total of 3 hours so that we can ensure that it gets done in a time slot of 3 hours, Madam Chair?
Mr. Kurek?
I think it's functionally the same thing, but yes, I think that would be certainly the spirit of the motion, for sure.
Yes, that's it. Any other hands up? No more discussion? Yes, Kevin?
You know, Madam Chair, Ms. Tate knows the procedures of the House of Commons, and I do believe she would agree to come for the 3 hours. It's not 2 hours, 51 minutes. She knows when we say up to that it is 3 hours. Okay?
Thank you. So let's call the, yes, Mr. Noor Mohammed.
Go ahead.
Sorry, no, Ms. Gainey was first. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Anna, with your hand up, I didn't see. Ms. Gainey?
Oui, est-ce que ce serait possible d'avoir...
Can we have the new motion in writing so that we can read it in both official languages?
The old motion, the original motion.
I have the old one.
The original motion just removes the 3rd paragraph and the "and" at the end of the
whole
second
sentence
paragraph.
after "and" the minister.
Yes. So I read
So
it earlier on. I can read it
I
again.
know I didn't capture what had been.
Yes. The CBC paid out. Do you want me to read it again?
Where does it end now?
It ends at of the adoption of the motion. There's
Period.
a period there.
Okay, so
Yes.
the rest is gone.
Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Coteau.
Yeah, I'd like to move an amendment that instead of 3 hours, we make it 2 hours, so it fits into one meeting.
Well, we have an amendment on the floor. Discussion, debate on the amendment. Mr. Kurek.
I think what is becoming increasingly clear is that acknowledging the clock, Madam Chair, we've got 12 minutes. According to what the Liberals have suggested, they're in support of the motion, but seem to be doing everything they can to delay whether or not we actually get to a vote. 3 hours is reasonable. Ms. Tate has been to committee before. She's refused to answer questions before. I think 3 hours is very, very reasonable. I won't support lessening it to 2. However, what is becoming abundantly clear is that the Liberals don't seem to simply want to vote, and I know that there are other motions that are important that we would sure like to deal with in committee business. Unfortunately, intentions are becoming clear.
Mr. Kurek, I would like to point out that I think it's always a dangerous road we go down when we presume to know what people are thinking. So, Mr. Noor Mohammed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just going to point out to Mr. Kurek, and the hope was that now that we have new members, that we'd get to a place where we actually, I'm not saying trust each other, but assume the best intentions of each other. To my mind, I'm not trying to delay a vote on this. I think it'd be very important for us. I want to just speak to the notion of going for 2 hours and getting to a vote and having a resolution before we all end today. So that's my commitment to this group. I mean, I can only speak for our side that that's the intention. But I will say this. I mean, I think, look, we've historically, when we've had witnesses, we've had them for 2 hours. We've run them through the mill for 2 hours. They have done what they need to do in 2 hours. There's not a question. I don't think we should be able, I think we should be able to get to everything we need to get to.
Speaking in favor of the amendment.
Yes, I'm speaking in favor of the amendment. And, you know, I mean, we reserve the right to call her back as a committee. As we have done before. So my suggestion would be that given the resources for 2 hours, given that we know that we have questions to ask her, and you will all recall last time we were here, all of us asked her some pretty tough and difficult questions that, you know, it was a fairly nonpartisan effort or all-party effort in trying to get answers. So I would support that amendment, and if there are no other comments on it, let's get it to a vote.
Any more discussion on the amendment of 2 hours? No discussion, so I will ask the clerk to go to the vote on the amendment.
Mr. Noor Mohammed.
Yes.
Mr. Coteau. Yes. Madam Dillon. Yes. Ms. Gainey. Ms. Latanzio. Yes. Mr. Waugh.
No.
Mr. Couric.
No.
Mr. Gould.
No.
Mr. Giovanni.
No.
Mr. Beaulieu. Madam Ashton.
No.
6 yeas, 5 nays.
So we are going to 2 hours. Yes, that's the amendment. It's now amended to no less than 2 hours each. Yes?
Let's go to the
That's
vote.
been passed. All right, so now we're going to go with the amendment. We're going to go to the motion as amended. Now, any discussion on the motion as amended? No, I see no hand up. I'm going to call the vote. We have 5 minutes left on the clock, so let's do that because I'm told we do not have resources to carry on further. So now, go ahead, clerk. Please get the motion moving.
The vote is on the motion as amended. Mr. Noor Mohammed.
Yes.
Mr. Coteau.
Yes.
Ms. Dillon. Ms. Gainey. Ms. Latanzio. Mr. Waugh.
Yes.
Mr. Couric.
Yes.
Mr. Gould. Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Beaulieu. Ms. Ashton.
Oui.
That's 11 yeas, 0 nays.
So you were wrong.
I'm glad to be proven wrong. I would like to
Have some faith, man.
congratulate this committee on the very first meeting. We actually agree on a motion. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, if there being only, did you have your hand up, Mr. Mohammed?
But if you're going to adjourn, then I won't bother you.
Okay, seeing as we only have 4 more minutes on the clock, I will move that we adjourn this meeting.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Nikki?
Seeing as that we have some extra time, I did before we adjourn. I just put my hand up.
Because I had called the meeting adjourned, so unless you want me to have a vote on the adjournment of the meeting, no debate, I can't entertain your motion because the meeting was, all I didn't do was
I thought it's when you hit the gavel.
I call a vote.
Pardon?
You can't. It's adjourned. You can't.
I call a vote.
It's a vote, it's adjourned. Sorry about that, Nikki, I'm sorry. Stick your hand up in the air and I'll see it. Then I can mention you. Yeah. Okay, well, meeting adjourned.